Hello there, welcome back to Beauty Bee. Welcome to the first part, maybe only part, of my makeup inventory for December 2022. We are starting out with base products. It's a makeup inventory. I do the style where I lay everything out and you can see it. Really, let's not get too bogged down in introduction because I have a lot of makeup. We've got a lot to get through. We're starting out with my base category. In December of 2021, I would have had 5 primers, and in June of this year, I had 5 primers as well. Currently, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, so that's an increase of 3. Let me see, which ones are new? Oh, these 4 e.l.f. ones are all new since last year's inventory. You know what, while we're here, a quick declutter. This is the e.l.f. Hydrating Face Primer on the Go. It's not hydrating, it's just a tube of silicone. I have no idea how they got hydrating out of this. If they called it a smoothing primer, I would understand where they were coming from, but I still don't like it as a smoothing primer either. We're getting rid of it. Oop. Okay, so now I have 7 primers. So I've increased 2 from June. As far as what I think will be gone by the next update, I think this e.l.f. Poreless Putty Primer should be gone. I have hit the bottom of the pot in this, and I'm planning to put it in my 2023 Project Pan. The Porefessional from Benefit really should be gone by the end of 2023 as well. And this e.l.f. Jelly Pop Primer, I only have probably a little less than half of the tube left, so I wouldn't be surprised if this is gone as well. Moving on to foundation, there's been absolutely no movement. I had 2 in the last update. I have the same 2. The update before that, so December of 2021, I had just 1 foundation, and this one was given to me by Influenster sometime between December of last year and this June. So no change there. I did not have any concealers in June of 2022, and I still have no concealers, so that's great. For powder, which is my last subcategory under base products, I have 5 actually. There is a little sample of a MAC powder that I probably have mixed in with my single shadows because it's the same size as those. So we might find it later. My spreadsheet is telling me that I had 5 in my last inventory as well. I think that's wrong. I think that I had 6 in my last inventory because I would have had that mini MAC powder. I finished an IT Cosmetics powder. I had to declutter a Physicians Formula powder, and this is the only new one that I would have gotten, this hyaluronic hydro powder, this mini from By Terry. That's the only new one. So we're actually doing really well in the base category. I always like to start with this because then it just goes downhill very quickly, but it's nice to start on a good note. I did such a better job of organizing for this video than I ever have in the past. This was so easy to set up. Now I'm probably going to be mad at myself in 3 minutes when I realize that I forgot something important, but this is all of my cheek products, I think, laid out in front of me. So let's start with a successful category, cream highlighter. I currently have 0 cream highlighters. In both December of 2021 and June of this year, I had a single cream highlighter. It was a Wet n Wild. I don't even know what they called it. Maybe a Mega Glow. It was a liquid highlighter. It was really pretty. It went bad on me. That wasn't super surprising. I'd had it for probably a year and a half, and I bought it on super sale at the Wet n Wild website, so it was probably pretty old when I got it. Okay, let's start with the other cream products. I have one cream bronzer. It is Bonnie Dumanizer from The Balm. I probably shouldn't have bought this. Just to be real, this is intended as a cream highlighter, but it's just, I mean, that's not a highlighter on me. That is brown on my skin tone. So I use it as a liquid bronzer, just like on my shoulders during the summer. It's actually quite pretty that way, but it's not a highlighter on me. It's a very, very glowy liquid bronzer. And in the last update, I also had one. I assume that it was this Bonnie Dumanizer again. And in the December 2021 update, I had 0 cream bronzers. Cream blush, I have 5. I have 2 from e.l.f., the monochromatic multi-sticks. This one in Bronze Cherry is new. I have had Sparkling Rose for quite a while. This Purlisse Blush Glow BB Cheek Color I would have had previously, as well as this YC collection. This Ciate Dewy Blush in sort of a papaya shade is new to my collection since the last update. So my cream blush category has been on a steady increase. In December of 2021, I had 2. In June, I was up to 3, and now I'm at 5. All right, now for the powder categories. Let's start with powder blush. So from these 2 palettes, I have 2 powder blushes. I have NARS Orgasm, as well as this blush from Sydney Grace, which is in First Date. First Date would be new since my last update. I have this CoverGirl Cheekers blush in Natural Twinkle, which is also new since my last update. These 3 here, 2 from Wet n Wild and then 1 from Pacifica, would not be new, nor would this Bare Minerals, these 2 Etude blushes, or the ColourPop. From e.l.f., this might be new. I'm not exactly sure. This is their Bite Size Face Duo in Cantaloupe. Pacifica, not new. ColourPop, I don't know if I said this already, not new. This one's really pretty though, so let's bring it out to show. Isn't that gorgeous? This is Night Bloom. It's so unique, so interesting, and it looks actually kind of natural. It's wild. Then from Sugar Rush, this is not new to my collection. Like, I'd owned this, and I purchased this last year, probably around Christmas, to give away on my channel, and then this just languished in a drawer for like 9 months. And at some point I decided, you know what, I'm not going to give it away at this point. It hasn't happened yet. It's probably not going to. So it just became part of my collection. And there is one blush in here called Play. I don't know that I have used it yet. Honestly, I've used this palette like twice. I need to get on that. But I do have a blush in there. Now moving over to these palettes. None of these 3 palettes are new. Actually, none of these 4 palettes are new. But in the Autobalm Girl Powder, I have 2 blushes, Houston and Bourbon Street. Okay, you know how I was saying that I was going to be mad at myself? I forgot to put my powder bronzers out. I'll get to those in a sec. From the Girls Getaway trio, I have 1 blush in Balm Springs. Balm Beach I have always counted as a bronzer, so I'm going to continue with that. In the Cheerleaders Mini Pink Squad, there are 2 blushes, California and Dandelion. So, how many powder blushes do I have? So in the palettes, I have 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Now, I'm a little bit confused by that because in my last video, I had 23 powder blushes. So I don't know if I'm about to find a handful of blushes that I had forgotten about, or if I got rid of more blushes than I thought. I did have to declutter a couple, probably back in October, because I found out that I am allergic to beeswax, and that came up in a couple of different blushes. But you know what? For right now, I'm just gonna roll with it and double check my math, because do I have a bachelor's degree in math and a PhD in statistics? Yes. Do I know how to count? Not always. I think I'm at 18. Cool. So, like I said in my last update, I was at 23, and in December 2021, I was at 16. So I am back to my December 2021 numbers, roughly. All right, my bronzers are out. I have fixed my earlier mistake. Let's talk about powder highlighter now. I recently purchased 2 ColourPop Super Shock highlighters. I have one from the Winnie the Pooh collection. This is in 100 Acre Wood, and it's a gold. This is a little bit dark for my skin tone, but I don't even care because it's a Winnie the Pooh highlighter and it's adorable. And then this is my most recent acquisition. This is from the ColourPop It's a Small World collection. I love It's a Small World. Like, I know everyone else thinks it's annoying, but I love it so much. I think it's so cute. And I really wanted a piece of that collection, and I really wanted a highlight like this. This is super interesting. It's mostly white, but it has these little pinpoints of pink in it. It's really pretty. This is not a swatching video, and I need to remember that, but it's so pretty. And this is Jubilant Chorus, if I didn't say so. Let's see. What else is new in this category? This Sydney Grace highlighter would be new since my last video. This is the shade Pumpkin Spice Latte. For me, it's more of a blush topper than anything. And anything else? Oh, this Aesthetica highlight I bet is new as well. This is in the shade Starlight. And that is stunning. It's really pretty, like, peachy pink, golden pink. I don't know, it's definitely a pink, but there's just something else there. It's really hard for me to put my finger on. I really like it. And then, as far as other highlighters I own, I have 3 in this Wet n Wild highlighting palette. I intend at the end of the year on depotting this white one, maybe pressing it into a pan, like a single magnetic pan, and then decluttering these 2. But for the moment, there are 3 in here. In the Cheek Leaders palette, there is 1 highlight tickle. And in the Auto Balm Girl Powder, there is 1 highlighter in Fifth Avenue. I'm really not doing well. Goodness. Because in my Balmbina palette, I have 2 more blushes, which puts me up to 20, which makes a lot more sense with how many I thought I had decluttered. And 1 more powder highlight and 1 more powder bronzer. Okay. I knew I was going to eat my words. Why do I set myself up like this? All right. Have I gotten them all at this point? Maybe. Who knows? Okay, so there are how many highlighters here? I see 1, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Okay, that makes some sense to me. I definitely would have decluttered 2 since my last update, and I have a few new ones that we've talked about. So I went up from 14 in my previous video to 17 in this video. I really like my collection where it's at. There are a couple here that I could see myself decluttering, but nothing that I'm in any hurry to get rid of. I like what I have. I think I'll use almost all of what I have. So I think that's in a good spot. Let's move on to bronzer. So again, Auto Balm palette, I have one in Bleecker Street, the shade right here. In the Girls Getaway trio, I have 2, Balm Beach and Balm Desert. Bronzilla, I have Bronzilla from the Balm in my Balmbina palette. Laguna from NARS. This Too Faced Hot Cocoa bronzer, which I can't resist. I love him. This Art Class by Rodin bronzer, which is actually a contour, but we're counting it in the bronzer because I'm pretty sure that's what I've done in the past and I don't feel like switching it up today. Tarte Park Avenue Princess, which is not going to be done by the end of the year the way I originally hoped, but is well on the way to moving out of my collection. And then I would have purchased, I believe, 2 new bronzers since the last video. The first is this Vesca bronzer. This is in Kissed by Rio. And it is a very light bronzer. Super pretty. And then I have Viseart Bronze Noir. Another pretty light bronzer. Very pretty. I think both of these will be really good to have this winter. Okay, that's gonna bother me. So, in total, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 bronzers. And in the previous video, I had 9. So I've gone up by 1, which I think is pretty reasonable. I guess I went on a bronzer buying binge between December 21 and June 2022 because I went from 5 to 9 in that time period. But I seem to have slowed that down because I only went up by 1 in the last 6 months. That's not too bad. Okay, we're doing better so far than I thought I was going to. Let's move on to eye products. The next category I call my eye accessories, which is everything that goes on your eyes, or I guess in your brows, that isn't eyeshadow. So, let's start with brow products. In my previous video, I had 6, and now I have a pomade, brow powder, 2 brow gels, and 3 brow pencils, so I'm up to 7. I think that this brow pomade might be new, and I think that this brow gel is new as well. I have just a rotating collection of these Instant Lift brow pencils. Sometimes it goes up by a couple when I've just recently purchased my backstock, and sometimes it's at 1. Currently, I have one that's open and it is so close to being done. Like, that's it. If I'd done my makeup before I did this video, it may well have been an empty. So I have 3 brow pencils, 4 other brow products. I'm at 7. That's 1 more than I had in my last video. Cool. I'm fine with where that's at. I probably need to check this Benefit 24-hour brow setter at some point, see if it's still good, but this is fine. Mascara, I previously had 4, and now I have 2. I had to get rid of a lot of my mascaras due to the beeswax thing as well, and both of these would be new to my collection. Eye primer was another area where I had to get rid of some things, though I think I would have only had to get rid of my Milani eyeshadow primer. I think both of these, the NYX glitter primer and then the balm put a lid on it, I would have had in my last video. So I am down to 2. Previously in June 2022 I had 3, and then in December of 2021 I had 4. So I'm definitely moving in the right direction here. I got rid of my lash glue, so that went from 1 to 0. And I think the area where things might have increased is eyeliner. Previously I had 12, and now I have 1, 4, 5, 9, 11, 12, 14. So I don't know, beyond this persona, what would be new. Unless maybe I just didn't count my liquid eyeliner last time. That's a possibility. But that still should have been included somewhere. Anyway, I don't really know what happened there, but the only new addition I'm seeing is this Persona eyeliner, and I didn't have a black pencil eyeliner. So I think that was a good purchase. Overall, this category is always in pretty good shape, and it has remained in pretty good shape. So let's move to eyeshadow. Alright, so the first set of eyeshadow that we are going to look at are my liquid and cream shadows. Anything that's sort of individually packaged, as well as some of my smaller palettes. Okay, so let's start with liquid shadows because that's the first thing that I have listed in last year's video. I had 3 in June of 2022, and now I am up to 2, 4, 6, 7. Actually, I'm up to 8 because I know that I have a gold one of these NYX Ultimate Glow Shots. I'm guessing that somehow worked its way in with my lip products because it kind of looks like a lip gloss. But most of this growth has been from these NYX Glow Shots. I received actually 4 of these from Influenster. I gave 1 to my sister right away, and then I kept 3 of them, as well as these 2 Sydney Grace liquid shadows. These are the shades Are You Sure and then Destination Wedding. I just got these around Black Friday, so I've used each of them probably once, but I'm getting used to them, and they're really fun. They're fun to play with. And then this one from the Balm, I think, is very, very close to being gone. I don't know if you can tell, but there is windowing all the way from the top of this label down to here. Actually, the last time I tried to use this, I couldn't get any pigment out. I need to pull out the stopper. I really do like this shadow. I want to finish it completely. So I should put that aside and remember to take that out. Okay. Anyway, I'm at 8 liquid shadows and I'm pretty happy with that. I don't need to add any more though. For shadow sticks, in my last video I was at 4. I had to declutter 2, again, due to the beeswax thing. So now I'm down to 2. I would have had both of these in my previous video. A little bit of change, but it was due to decluttering rather than finishing things up. But I am glad that I didn't purchase any more. That's good. For Super Shock shadows, I previously had 8 and now I am up to 10. I decluttered 1 and then I would have purchased, I think, these Tinkerbell ones. I bought this trio. They are so, so pretty. These are in Straight On Till Morning, which is a really pretty green. Fly to Your Heart, which is a lighter pink. And then Never Grow Up, which is a little bit of a deeper pink, more of a raspberry shade. Really have been enjoying those. And then I don't know what I'm going to call these, probably pigments, but I have these two massive honking pigments from Sydney Grace. These are new as well. These are in Welcome to the Family, which I've worn a couple times. It's very pretty. Probably don't need, you know, a lifetime supply of it or a multi-lifetime supply of it, but it's pretty. And then Firelight Glow, also pretty, also probably didn't need this big of a thing of it. And then I don't know how I counted these in my last video. I'm guessing that I counted them as a magnetic single maybe. I don't know. There's two of them though. They're these Kiko Duos. Really nice pieces of packaging, by the way. But I have two of them. Now let's transition over into palettes. I have these three Viseart palettes that I would have had in my previous video. These are pretty small 8-pan palettes. I have the Petite Pro 1, 2, and 3, or 1, 2, and 3, as Viseart, I think, would prefer we call them. Let me open these up too. There's Petite Pro 3, which I think is my favorite, and Petite Pro 2, which is definitely an interesting color story. I do like it. It's just a little bit outside my comfort zone. We have talked about this Tarte Sugar Rush palette. In the face portion, it also has 4 eyeshadows. Giant pans of eyeshadow, but really pretty, really nice quality. Kind of basic, but you know, that's Tarte for you. Pat McGrath, this would not be new. The 3 e.l.f. palettes, again, nothing new. PYT Beauty, I would have had this in my previous video. And then my Lorac Mystic Oak, which is this cute little guy, I also would have had. So the new additions. First we have this ColourPop Acai You Baby palette, which is one of their quads. It's really, really pretty. There is a matte with glitter in here, which I actually really like. I know it turns some people off, but this pink is so, so pretty. I use this as a face highlight sometimes. Really a nice little palette. The ABH Norvina collection. I bought this at TJ Maxx on a whim because, you know, everything you buy at TJ Maxx is pretty much on a whim, at least if you're me. And this is such an unusual palette, but I've worn it, I think, 3 times so far, and I've really liked it. It's a little bit different. It's definitely brighter than pretty much anything else I wear, but the metallics are really pretty, and I've had an easier time working with this than I thought I would. Also, I got this for like $6, so I wasn't going to be disappointed unless it was an absolute hot mess of a palette, and it's not. It's really nice. And the packaging's really pretty too. I'm quite impressed with this. And then I bought 2 Natasha Denona palettes. I actually think I might have had the Ayana palette in my last video, but it is stunning. It's worth at least taking another look at. A little bit more of a cool toned neutral color story, though this is definitely not quite as neutral as it looks because this is actually a green rather than a true gray. And then the Cupid palette, is that what it's called? Yes. I got this in a BoxyCharm, and I was really not wild about it when I got it. I mean, I was super excited to get a Natasha Denona palette in BoxyCharm, but I wasn't sold on the colors. But this is so pretty. It is a really nice, basic workday palette. I don't tend to use this deep red just because that's really not my favorite kind of color, but these 4 shades are really gorgeous, and it's a really easy combination for me to wear to work when I don't want to think in the mornings. So let's see, in front of me right now, I have how many eyeshadows? 1, 2, 3, 4, 14, 16, 18, 19, 22, 25, 28, 30, 42, 51, 55, 59, 83, 87, 92, 97, 102. Oh, 103. All right, so I should probably write that down, but I don't think I'm going to. Let's move on to the next spread. This is going to be spread 2 of 3 for eyeshadow. So I have all of my single eyeshadows out as well as a few smaller palettes. But let's start with the singles. This is definitely an area where my collection has grown. I tried Sydney Grace shadows for the first time since my last video. I've additionally purchased a few from Luxie and I think a couple from ColourPop as well. So in these palettes, I have 24 single shadows, 26, 30, 32, 41, 52, 61, 71, 75, 80, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, and then 5 times 5 is 25. That's 113 single shadows. Now, in my last video, I had 76 magnetic singles, so I basically increased this by 50%. Okay. That's a lot. But I don't know that I'm unhappy about it. I can digest that later. For right now, it's fine. Let's move on to the other eyeshadows. So going back to the Bombina palette, there are 4 eyeshadows in here. My Profusion Glam palette is a 9-pan palette. I actually don't know that I've touched this since the last video. I should bring it out. It's a really nice palette. Beauty Bakery Sour You Doin', I think I'm going to get rid of. This is just not that impressive of a palette. I'm really not wild about it at all. Yeah, I think I can get rid of this. Okay. Really wasn't planning on this being a declutter video, but I guess that's where we are. I have this 9-pan Teddy Girl palette from Butter London. The 16-pan NYX Ultimate Utopia. I was working on this for much of the year in my project pan, and it is really looking well loved. And then this Beauty for Real Golden Hour, which is also a palette that I could see myself decluttering, but we're not making that decision today. So we said that we had 113 pans among these singles. So 122, 131, 135, 143, 159. So that's 262 that we're at. There should just be one more spread of eyeshadow. And I was correct. One more set of eyeshadow palettes to look at. So we were at 262 total pans. Am I correct? I think so. So most of this is ColourPop, and most of this you will have seen before. I have the 3 tie-dye palettes, which are In a Trance, Aura and Out, and Miss Bliss. Now, I kind of mix and match my ColourPop palettes, but I think that everything that's in these tie-dye palettes came from the tie-dye palettes originally, but don't quote me on that. I have Cabana Club, which is quite pretty. I also would have had this in the last video. Play It Jewel and Stone Cold Fox I bought around Black Friday of last year. These are 30 pan palettes, and I've actually gotten pretty good use out of both of them. Cherry Crush is another palette that I could actually see myself decluttering, especially now that I own that ABH palette that I was showing. But it's here for now. It's a 9-pan palette. It's really like a 4-pan palette that they expanded, like they were trying to reach a word limit, but that's fine. Tinkerbell would be new, sprinkle a little magic. I am so happy with this purchase. It's a really pretty palette. And it's Tinkerbell, which never hurt anything. And the packaging's gorgeous. Okay, moving on. And I have the 2 Star Wars The Mandalorian palettes, The Child, and then The Mandalorian itself. My Lorac Fairy Tale Forest. I feel like I can't make a video recently without talking about this. But it is an 18-pan palette. I quite enjoy it, and I've been working on it in my 6 by Sansa project pan these past couple of months. And then I purchased 2 of the e.l.f. 18-pan palettes since the last video. We have the 18 Hit Wonders, which is, I always thought of this as a rainbow palette, but really it's this row is a rainbow palette, and then there's sort of a grungy row and a neutral row. It's a really pretty palette. I've quite enjoyed playing with this. I've also enjoyed playing with Earth and Ocean, which is almost like 2 9-pan palettes in one. You have this sort of blue-purple palette, and then this warm yellow-green palette. Very pretty. Now the moment of truth. I was at 262, I think I decided, with the last 2 spreads of eyeshadow. So 292, 322, 334, 361, 397, 415, 433, 451. Okay, so I am totally willing to acknowledge that I might have missed 1 or 2 in there. I might even be off by as many as 10 to 15, but I think I'm at least in the ballpark of 450. In my previous update, I was at 360, so I've increased by about 25%. That's not awful. I need to slow down, but it's not awful. I don't know that I'm really going to finish a lot of eyeshadows in the next year, but I'm going to try to hit pan in quite a few eyeshadows in the next year. So hopefully, even though the number of eyeshadows probably won't change a whole lot by the next update, hopefully some of these palettes will be looking a lot more used. Cool. That's it for eyeshadow. Let's do lip products. 20 lip products and then we're done. So, let's see. Last time I had 90 lip products total. And the way that broke down, let's start with mini lipsticks. I had 12 mini lipsticks in my last video. This was an area where, due to that beeswax thing, I had to get rid of quite a few. But I've also purchased a couple since the last video. I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 in total, down from 12 in my last video. The new additions would be this blue from Copacetic Cosmetics, and then this light pink from Trestique. Everything else I think I would have owned, though it is possible that some of these were categorized in with their like full-size counterparts in previous videos. But for right now, we're calling this 10. I generally look more at the number of total lip products than the individual categories, because I know that I don't always categorize things the exact same way from video to video. Let's move on now to bullet lipsticks. I think I'm going to count these in with my bullet lipsticks. So there are 4 of these e.l.f. lip products. This one is actually pretty close to being done. I would guess that I'm about 2/3 of the way through this. So it will not be around in the next video, I'm guessing, but I think the other ones will. I have these 2 Jason Wu balms. These are new. These are from Pat McGrath. I got them over Black Friday. I'm not going to show you them because I'm building up the suspense, but they're really pretty. 2 from Flower Beauty. I have 4 from MAC. A new addition to my collection is MAC Velvet Teddy. I purchased this at TJ Maxx a few weeks ago. One from NARS, which I think actually might be new since my last video as well. And then I have 6 of the Revlon Super Lustrous lipsticks. 2 of these are new. Let me see if I can figure out which 2. These ones. I have Mink, which is a light brown. And then Blushing Nude, which is sort of a rosy nude shade. And then I'm going to count these in with my bullet lipsticks as well, because I don't know where else to put them. These are my longer, slimmer lipsticks. I have this from Kat Von D, which I also purchased at the same TJ Maxx. This is in Lolita. I have a Maybelline Superstay ink crayon. These 3 Trestique lip products that I purchased through one of the BoxyCharm sales. Isn't it awful how these magnetize but not evenly to each other? I hate that. This YSL lipstick I would have had in my previous video, and same story with this rose ink one. So in total, I had 27 bullet lipsticks in my last video, and now I have 7, 13, 14, 18, 20, 22, 24, 28. So I have gone up by 1 in this category, which I am actually a little bit surprised about. I think that I might have overcorrected for a lot of the lip products that I had to get rid of. I might have basically replaced them already, which is kind of a scary thought. Now let's do liquid lipsticks. In the last video I had 9. I don't think that any of these would be new since that video, with the exception of maybe this Maybelline Superstay Vinyl ink. This is a liquid lipstick that could also be considered kind of a gloss. It's a really strange product. Stains like crazy, so I'm not going to swatch it, but yeah, I really have no idea where I would have categorized this last time. But I am now down to 8 liquid lipsticks, which I think is progress. I mean, I'm sure that I achieved that progress by decluttering rather than by finishing any, but that's fine. We're just gonna take that and move on. For tinted balms, this is an area where I buy a lot, but I also use up a lot. So there's probably been quite a shift from last time. I have 4 of these NARS Afterglow balms. Again, I did buy a Pat McGrath tinted balm over Black Friday. I have these 3 Revlon ones, which I, again, would have had in my previous video. The 4 Tarte H2O balms. The Rare Beauty, I think I would have had in my last video, as well as this Miss Show, I think is how they pronounce this. So, currently, I am sitting at 5, 8, 12, 14. That is up 2 from where I was. No. I'm at 14. I was at 10 in the previous video. To be fair, I think that I classified these 3 as bullet lipsticks, but it's fine. It doesn't matter that much. I'm up to 14 in this category. Cool. Let's move now to lip liners. This is an area where I doubt there's been any change. In the last video, I had 14, and now I have 3, 6, 10, 11, 12, 13. So I've gone down by 1. I think that I had to declutter 1 due to having beeswax as an ingredient. So I'm down 1. Cool. We love to see some change. Always nice to see. Now for lip glosses, I previously had 18. I imagine this has gone up a little bit, but let's see. Which of these would be new since the last video? I think this Persona gloss would be new. This Vesca lip oil. These 2 Bare Minerals glosses. I just bought these over Black Friday and actually haven't opened them yet because I'm planning to use them more as lip balms than true glosses, and just trying to finish off a couple of other things before I crack those open. These 3 Milani products would all be new. I have, again, something that I'm planning on using more as a lip treatment, which is this Fruit Fetish lip oil and strawberry melon. And then these 2 transforming glosses. So how many am I at? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 12, 14, 15, 16, 17. So I actually went down by 1 in this category. Awesome. So overall, how has my lip category changed? In the last video, I was at 90 total lip products. I think I'm at 90 total lip products. Now that is a lot, but I'm actually pretty happy with that because it didn't change from the last video. My total number has not gone up, and I am so thrilled with that. I want to keep that up. I don't want to add a bunch more. I would actually like to use some of these up and not replace them. I'm really happy with this. Oh my goodness, this was a good note to end this video on. And I really need to end this video because I have been filming for what feels like 2.5 eternities. So, I really hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching. Please consider liking and subscribing if you did enjoy this, and check back next week where I will be doing my skincare and hair care and all that kind of stuff. Alright, see you guys. Have a nice day.